Hey y'all, this is gonna be a shorter video. I'm not really gonna have to show anything in action really. So, because I just wanted to go over some builds that I'm sure you've already seen 20 times and also some updates to my other builds. Um, let's see, first off, I updated the Apotheosis Veil build, and because I wanted to do a bit more damage during damage phases with it. And I did test Tractor and Microcosm. So like obviously the setup with Apotheosis would be you'd activate your super after you make sure to apply Unraveling so that you get Facet of Courage procced. And then also use a dive to get your Hellion, and then just go crazy with super. And then after that go crazy with your normal abilities until the Apotheosis is over. And then you would use Microcosm if you had it, or if you're using Tractor like I am, you would use Tractor during the super to make sure they're 30% weakened, and then once your super's over, start using your Fusion and reapply Tractor when you need to. They're both good choices. Microcosm is probably more total damage, but Tractor is definitely more burst damage, not to mention Tractor helps the whole team. So I decided to go with it. And then I'm using a Firefly Fatebringer because if you're like me and you have a Battle Harmony bond and you're running a solar super, Firefly kills count as solar weapon kills, so it procs Battle Harmony. And then for the next one I updated, which one? The Prismatic Necrotic. I got a Spirit of Starfire Necrotic, so now I'm using an Empowering Rift, and I'm using Facet of Courage again. So when a damage phase starts, I turn my grenade into a Bleak Watcher. Then I activate Prismatic and throw out a Prismatic Grenade so that it weakens the boss with Dominance. Then I cast my Empowering Rift and stand in it. Then come to think of it, swap this to Void super, so it does more damage because the enemy's unraveled. But do that, and then once you've used your abilities up, start unloading your bait and switch rockets, your fusion, and make sure to throw a new Void Grenade every time you get it from the Starfire effect, because that's just going to keep the weakening going even longer. Now let's see. I also made a classic Rain of Fire DPS setup with using Well, because most of your damage is this is a pure burst damage build. So when damage starts, you're just gonna place your Well, activate your Hellion. Oh, and I'm using an Osmosis Firefly, the same Fatebringer, but it has Osmosis or Explosive. So I'm using that with Ember of Tempering for fire sprites. But you would activate bait and switch and shoot your Apex Predator twice, then air dodge once to reload it, shoot it again, and then go to Merciless and unload it. Unload all of its reserves because it's perfect for Rain of Fire. You have your Icarus Dash back by the time you empty its magazine. And every time you reload it with the Icarus Dash, it doesn't lose its increased charge time. But you could use Heat Rises if you wanted to shoot 4 rockets instead of 3, but I wanted to take advantage of Hellion just because of how much damage it does. And if you wanted to, you could use Ember of Ashes to where your Hellion only takes 3 shots to ignite instead of 4. And then the last one, I've waited a while to make a build focused around Getaway Artist on Prismatic. Honestly, I wonder if I was one of the first people to test Getaway Artist on Prismatic, because literally the night it came out, the second I got an Art Grenade, I pulled out Getaway Artist. I was like, I gotta try. So I wonder if I was one of the first people to discover the Bleak Watcher combo, but there's no way of knowing. But either way, I was waiting to use it because I wasn't sure if it was intended. I was expecting them to remove it, but they haven't yet. So this is just a full buddy build, and a lot of people would say, why aren't you using Devour? I wanted all three at once, all three buddies. You could even use Threadling Grenades if you really wanted to. But for damage phases, oh, and if you're doing what I'm doing and running Rat King, so that's how I get my heals. Since I don't have Devour, you can either use Crimson, Red Death, or Rat King, or an Unrelenting weapon. But I chose Rat King because it also turns you invisible. And while you're invisible, your Solar Soul and Arc Soul, they still shoot stuff, and it doesn't get anything's attention. They don't break invis for you. So you can kill someone with Rat King, reload, and for the next 6 seconds you can just stand there completely safe and let your buddies kill stuff for you. So I'm using that because I'm using Rat King. And then I'm using this because without Devour you need a bit of extra regen for your grenade to get it back by the time you lose your Arc Soul. So your Hellion spawns Fire Sprites and your Arc Soul spawns Ionic Traces. So between both of them you still usually have your grenade back by the time your Arc Soul is gone, and then this makes sure you have your Hellion back. Then you got this because for damage phases you're going to apply Unraveling and then activate all your buddies, and they'll be doing increased damage to the boss. And then I have this because you have turrets, so your Shatter does more damage as well. And then there's nothing else really special about it. It's just turn invisible, let your buddies kill stuff for you while you don't even have to worry about a thing. It's pretty fun, honestly. But like I said, you could use Red Death instead if you wanted to. Doesn't really matter. I just chose Rat King as my stay alive gun. But I think that's all the changes or like short and simple builds, because I know y'all haven't seen the Getaway Artist build before, but everybody and their mother has one, so you already know about the combo and stuff. That's just my take on it. Other than that, I have a new Stasis build that I'm going to dedicate a whole video to. Oh, and also my old Hierarchy of Needs, Sanguine Alchemy, higher content, like higher difficulty content build. I still use it. There's the mod set up for it if you care. Probably not going to put all the dim links in the comments for these builds. So here, real quick, I'll just go through the mod setups. There's the Getaway Artist build with Rat King. There's the Apotheosis Veil build. And there is the Rain of Fire build. And there's the Prismatic Necrotic build. Hopefully y'all enjoy these. If you have any ideas on ways to make these even better for damage setup while still keeping the idea of the build and not completely changing it, let me know. Hope y'all enjoy.